Are you having an upbeat moment?
Boy, I'm getting really, really completely psyched to
Well-
see Brian up there.
Brian Eno, we are at Upbeat, which is a seminar.
This is how the music industry can contribute to reducing the impact on the climate.
So more later, I suppose.
More later when we have more info from Brian.
Okay, so we are here at...
We are at the Earth Percent. It's not quite a conference, it's a get-together really.
It's a get-together of minds, and it's been fantastic because there's a use of language. I mean, I'm about to turn 66, you're about to turn 78. We have a very different use of language culturally and because of our age generationally. And what is really interesting about this conference, it's a shifting dialogue. And some really interesting things have been said by Brian himself, is about what time you can offer and how much time you have to offer when you're someone like Brian Eno and you're producing half the world. But also it's knowing what you are capable of doing. I can't go into this world and set plans and set goals thinking I can play guitar like Robert Fripp. And it may sound idiotic to say that, but sometimes I definitely set goals that are too high. So this is all about Earth consciousness, this particular event. Just showing you the room, because we're just having a quick half-hour break. So it's all about Earth consciousness. So we've had some very brilliant artists on who are talking about communing with trees, and what I mean by this is that the tree in your garden is as much a part of you as your child or your possessions, or everything is on an equal footing, on an equal level, and it's all part of who and what we are. So it's kind of very Buddhist, but also music orientated, and it's how music can help the environment, and also right through to people in cities, through to giving people in the rainforests of the Amazon their livelihoods, giving them enough money that they can survive, and they can culturally have their rights. We all have cultural rights.
To put it in a simple sentence, what is it that I am able to contribute?
Hello everybody, I'm Toyah.
And I'm Robert.
And welcome to our upbeat moment.
And my upbeat moment this week was when Brian Eno invited us down to a presentation in London of Earth Percent and Client Earth and various ecologically related bodies. Now, Brian, I first met in the EG office in 1972. This is my original vinyl of my first social meeting with Brian, no pussyfooting. And this is Brian's first solo album, Here Come the Warm Jets. I'm playing
Brilliant album.
Yes. So we went down and Kathy Runciman of Earth Percent made the inaugural address, and then a number of other stunning people made their presentations, including that of Client Earth.
And I suppose the concept is how can the music business improve its relationship with Earth, ecology, environment. Now, we know the things about carbon footprint, but there is much more immediate on the ground things that we can do. So also there was Laura Clark of clientearth.com. Now her role, she's a lawyer, she spoke absolutely brilliantly and with a new language that for me was a really advancing eye-opener for me as a communicator within media.
What Client Earth do is engage and train with judges and lawyers, and they look at the law, establishing law which is guiding a better relationship with the planet, and enforcing law which is already existing but simply has been ignored.
So re-clarifying law. So an example is, she told a story about some people in Papua New Guinea who couldn't afford to live there. They couldn't stay there, they were being edged out by industry. So they informed the legal system in Australia, and I am paraphrasing here, that every person on this planet has a right to their culture. The law protects their culture. And they won this argument to protect these people in Papua New Guinea because their culture was being taken away from them. Now, this resulted in them remaining in their home, remaining living in an ecologically, environmentally sound existence with their forests, with their island, and therefore being part of Earth.
What I was struck by is the entirely practical information given on how I can actually support and be involved in this, rather than deal with the antipathy and widespread propaganda against those concerned with climate change by vested interests in fossil fuel. Now, in terms of being a tree hugger, yes, I do have a relationship with trees and I do enjoy being in their presence. But above all, I was impressed by the sheer practicality, down to earthedness of how to be involved in this.
It's things that may sound almost trivial, but they've arranged, Brian Eno and these wonderful people are arranging that a percentage of ticket prices will go back to Earth. So it's paying Earth back so that there will be a money pot that Earth belongs, and that money pot is to do correct things on Earth. So rather than us being here and taking from the Earth, we are here purely to recognise and give back and give the Earth power.
There's very little I can say in terms of giving detailed information in our Upbeat moments here. So I suggest anyone, please, of interest, heads over to Earth% and Client Earth and uses their initiative to see what is involved and available. And thank you, dear Brian Eno, for your support of this and driving this forward for the past 3 years at least.
And thank you, Brian Eno, for wearing a fantastically pink shirt. He looked amazing. I think all will be explained on those websites, but what I want to say to you, a very clear message that came from this afternoon, is we can all do something at ground level. We're not disempowered. There is something we can all contribute to within our lives and our lifestyles that makes such common sense, and it's all there on the websites.
Well said, little lovey. Now, do you have any other Upbeat moments of the week,
yes.
sweetie?
I always find this time of year, January, February into March, is the only time I really get to read. So I bought this book. So Atomic Habits, it's exactly what it says on the book. Atoms, tiny little things we're all made up of, and the habits that are just as tiny make us as great as the habits that are huge. So I bought this thinking I could just help Robert a little bit in not wasting time with reading junk email and stuff like that. And then I started to read it and I was thinking, I should stop looking at the scoreboard and think about the game, because nothing will happen while I stare at the scoreboard. And what I mean by that, I set my goals too high, and I always will have high hopes and high goals, but you go in at ground level.
Well, that's excellent advice, little lovey.
And then another book, Rick Rubin. These are both international bestsellers. Now, Rick Rubin, Def Jam Records, very brilliant, very creative producer. This is a book on creativity. The creative act, a way of being. And what I love about it, it is a dip in and out book, but also everything he says just really gives you food for thought. And for me, quite a big thing in my life is reflecting back 30 years, 40 years ago to the principles that made me act and do the things that I did. I.e., one of the first albums I bought was Here Come the Warm Jets, No Pussyfooting, Velvet Underground, Perubu. I mean, I just went out one day and bought my record collection, and that was about 1976, 77. And my principles and my beliefs and my creative acts in those days were really the root of who and what I am. And in modern day culture, the way things are changing, that we're more hands-on, there's no middlemen, we're doing far more kind of bureaucracy. is I was forgetting who I am and what I wanted to be and what turned me on. So I'm finding these books that just pull you back by a creative thread really fantastic.
So this has brought you back to your creative roots, Lovey.
Well, I'm going to get there eventually. So everyone, thank you for being with us. We will see you tomorrow for an archive Sunday lunch. I dread to think what it's going to be. We often talk about the fact we have made so many Sunday lunches now. We actually have lost count of what songs we have done and how we have done them. So every Sunday, our archivist manager picks something for us, and then at the end of the month we do a new one, but we never know what he's going to pick, and it's always an eye-opener.
All right, a surprise for us tomorrow.
Have a wonderful Saturday evening, everybody. Lots of love from Toyah.
And from Robert too.